Well, our creativity, comes basically in all areas of our life. But what I really want to talk about, right at this moment anyway, is how to embrace our creativity in uh, uh, in creating intimate relationships. And I know that this is a little bit different for a lot of people because most people don't really think, truly think. We kind of dabble with it, and maybe we think in those terms in certain situations, but very few people really walk through life with an attitude that says, I'm aware of the fact that in every moment I am in control of creating my own experiences, right? Regardless of what's happening outside of us, how I experience that, what I tell myself about it, the story that I run through my mind, um, is how I choose to experience whatever it is. And this is an absolute, you know, it's kind of like we have models of the world, right? And those models of the world tend to become what we call interpretive uh, tools, right? We interpret everything based on our model of the world. And our model of the world is just, it's a whole interactive dynamic of beliefs, values, morals, ethics, things we've been told, cultural conditioning, social pressure, all this type stuff goes into creating this basic, what we call a core model, which is, we then spawn other models off of it. So we have a model of ourself, which is our core beliefs about ourselves, how we've created ourselves in terms of how we've experienced ourselves in life up to this point. And then we have, our model of other people, how people are, and then we have our model of the world, which is kind of like a generalization that says this is the way things are, right? But in a creative sense, and I want to direct this towards personal relationships, particularly romantic, ultimately sexual relationships, because these relationships are the most important. And when I say important, I mean these relationships affect us in different ways and in more profound, deep ways than any other relationship that we have in life. And so they're very important, okay, in other words. And when we realize how, when we come into a relationship with somebody, we are subjecting ourselves to, as well as they are subjecting themselves to us, we are subjecting ourselves to a constant form of stimulation that serves to develop us. Not only are they mirroring back to us our own tendencies or our own, beliefs and ideas that we have trouble seeing in ourselves, but they are constantly stimulating us to bring out certain qualities, aspects, character traits of ourselves that we then use in the relationship, which means we strengthen them and develop them into being the ones that we use most often. So intimate relationships probably serve to develop and grow us more than any other relationship that we have, as well as if they're good relationships, right, and they're done properly, so to speak, these relationships offer the greatest level of fulfillment of any other area of our life, okay? So, but most people, when they most people walk through life, they don't really embrace their creativity, or they embrace it in some situations, but not in all situations, because our culture has kind of conditioned us to, they've kind of taken our power away from us in the sense that they haven't taught us skills on using our mind and our ability to express ourselves. And God, I think creativity, if I'm not mistaken, has almost been completely removed from our school systems nowadays. But we're not taught how to be creative. Some people don't even know for sure what creativity is outside of the obvious things like, art, music, sculpture, dance, that type stuff. They kind of relate to that kind of stuff. But the fact of the matter is, our most basic power in life, our most basic ability in life is our creative ability to create our own life experiences. and simultaneously create ourself. But when we walk into a relationship, a romance, and the other thing is that this day and age, there's a real deficiency in beautiful experiences and powerful moments and things that are striking and alluring and exotic and eloquent and like memorable, right? We've kind of cheapened everything down to where everything's kind of like mundane and everything's kind of like meaningless, and because we don't know how to bring the sacred back into our everyday life. And nowhere is this more obvious than in the romantic relationship, because who knows why exactly, but we feel more vulnerable in these relationships, and all of our issues, you might say, just kind of like rush to the foreground when we're getting ready to approach these relationships. And all of our insecurities and our, crappy little issues that we try to hide most of the time just immediately come to the foreground, and we're like fighting them back, or we're trying not to react to them, or we're trying not to let them taint our thoughts, but they're right there, and we feel insecure and vulnerable and scared, and but at the same time we feel excited and filled with anticipation, because of course it's love, right? So and we all like that. But if we took the attitude of saying to ourselves, and you can get a lot of ideas, right, from love stories that you've seen that you just really resonated with, and you just really love the story, and you can like watch it over and over, or love stories that there's a theme. We all gravitate towards certain stories, certain situations, certain ideas that are actually thematic. We always like those type of stories, or we always like that type of relationship, right? And this is just allowing us to identify what's in us, you might say, as because the best way to get to know yourself, or to attain self-knowledge, is to notice what you have a desire for, what you naturally gravitate towards, what you love, what you have a preference for, what type of things that you notice. Like if you look out into an environment and there's all kinds of ideas out there, you're going to realize that you have a tendency to notice certain types of ideas consistently. That's because that idea pertains to your story, okay? That's like an element that you could grab out and you could use as a means of creating a similar type of story, right? Because that's why you're noticing it. That's why you like it, and you gravitate towards it, and you think about it. And once you watch a movie that is what I call a powerful love story, you not only remember it forever, but you can watch it 80 times and not get tired of it, right? These are like pieces of art that are living art, right? They never get old. It's like rock and roll, right? They never get old. They never fade. Every time you watch it or listen to it, you love it, right? But so kind of get an idea of what type of a story do you want to create. What kind of experience do I want to create with this person? And based on that, how do I, if I'm going to create a certain story, I need to be the main character, right? I need to be the leading character, because I'm the one who is the creator of the experience. So I'm the one that's going to walk in with a vision, an idea, an intention, and a purpose, and I'm going to perfectly embrace, or embody my creative abilities to be the person that can tell this story, to be the person that naturally tells this story, and I'm going to create an amazing experience. And I'm going to bring the sacredness back into the experience. And what I mean by that is, one of the problems we have nowadays is that life doesn't have much meaning, right? I mean, we've been taught to behave in ways and to conduct ourselves in ways that really kind of rob situations of their beauty. And ordinary, it's like everything becomes ordinary and mundane, and we do it the same way all the time. So And then we watch movies where, you know, people are like having sex on the first date, you know, or, you know, if it's, you know, if she's hard to get or something like that, maybe the second date. We have these type of mentalities that program the mind that this is normal, right? And because of that, it takes the beauty and the sacredness and the specialness out of the one, or out of, we no longer associate love with sex, right? Sex is something that we can have with somebody that we're just remotely attracted to, or somebody that we think we like, right? Because we've been with them for like 3 hours now, and so far it's good. Uh, but it takes the profoundness out of it. It takes the romance and the courting and the prelude out of experiences, and we don't build them up to be meaningful and to be special and really, you know, bring a quality to the experience that makes them like wow type experiences, ones that take your breath away, or ones that are just so beautiful that they move you with emotion. And, you know, it certainly makes them memorable. I mean, these are the type of experiences that when we have them, they live in us forever, right? We never forget them. That's how powerful they are. So, but we haven't been taught this in our society. And it's like, it's really, how do I want to say this? It's really kind of sad, or it's kind of like damaging to the soul, because the soul seeks experience. The soul seeks to know itself through its life experiences. And when we've been trained to create experiences that don't have much impact, right? That don't have much drama, don't have much, you know, beauty and profoundness to them, then it's like our soul almost kind of like starves, or it starts dwindling and getting weak and piddly, right? Because we're not feeding it. It wants to be fed, and it wants cool stuff, okay? It wants meaningful, powerful, creative. It wants us to truly be the author of our own life and say, okay, who am I? What kind of a person do I, you know, who am I going to be in relationship? What type of relationship do I want to develop with this person? And if I'm in love with somebody, how do I bring expression to that in a way that stuns them, right? That moves them, that lets them know how deeply I feel, right? How deeply my emotions go for them. And how do I do that in a way that is just, that bonds and connects us and is incredibly intimate, right? Because one of the natural beauties of a relationship is that it serves as a metaphor for larger ideas, right? What people call the you know, oneness and connectedness and loving all people and all that type stuff, which we can't really experience. I mean, we kind of get it theoretically, but the macro and the micro, when you really understand what that model is about, it says that we can experience it in our own life because through individual experiences, because they serve as metaphor, they serve as archetypes or symbolic experiences that represent a larger idea. So when we come together in an intimate relationship and we bond and we form intimacy and connection, and we honestly start feeling at one with that person. We honestly start perceiving ourselves as it. You know, it's always us. It's never, you know, we lose that thing that we have going on that says, you know, I'm over here and you're over there, and yeah, we come together and we're having sex and we're in a relationship, and that's all cool, right? But I'm still going to not trust you, wonder about you, accuse you, and if a situation happens to us, then I'm going to somehow find fault in you, or blame you for it, or, you know, and then it's going to alienate us. We have an opportunity in truly intimate relationships to honestly create a connection and a bond with each other that says, there's no longer, I mean, don't get me wrong, there's always you and I, and I'm not talking about smothering and clinging and needy. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about where the mentality, the whole mental attitude in life becomes us. It's not you did this to me or so. It's like everything is about us acting in unison, us acting as the same idea, the same flow, different aspects of the same idea. Um, you know, we're like together in life no matter what. And when we go through bad experiences, it actually serves to tighten the bond and increase the intimacy that we feel rather than tearing us apart and ruining the relationship just because we had a bad experience and we couldn't make it through it, right? Because we got so caught up in stuff that and we pulled away from each other instead of gravitating towards each other. But anyway, so in like all things, of course, creativity has to be practiced. So just make it a practice just to kind of warm yourself up, get yourself used to thinking this way, and really embrace your ability to walk into any situation. It could be meaningless. It could be just an average situation. The point is that you're practicing the mindset and you're developing the skill to become flexible and versatile in your ability to express yourself by embracing certain qualities, traits, emotional states. And every situation that you walk into, ask yourself, what type of experience do I want to create? Right? How do I want this to go? What do I want this to be about? How do I want it to feel? And then set the intention for that experience. And then as you walk into it, hold your focus and act in a purposeful way to actually influence the whole situation, right? Because we don't have the ability to actually, change people or control them, but we absolutely have the ability to influence them. So impose an influence on the situation, lead it in the direction that you want to go. If there's a different mood, change the mood, which you can by your own presence, and just practice it. And when you say to yourself, I want a certain type of experience, ask yourself, who do I need to be, right? What do I need to embrace? What part of my character do I need to bring out and use as the main form of expression in this situation in order to create this type of experience? And just start practicing that. And that teaches you, that trains your mind to start not only embracing your creativity, but you start living life intentionally. You start living life with a sense of purpose, right? You feel you have creative ability in your life, and that becomes very beautiful. So so just practice it on a daily basis. And when you get into a relationship where you feel like you're made a connection, it could be a profound relationship, create it intentionally, okay? Create a beautiful experience by walking into it with an idea of writing a great love story that's going to live in eternity, right? And practice being that way in the relationship, stimulate that in the other person, create it as kind of like the mood or the atmosphere of the interaction as a way of developing or starting a relationship right off from the get-go with that type of dynamic. And that helps you to bring deep meaning to your experiences that just, they make you feel alive inside, right? And life not only has meaning, it has like deep, rich, intensely beautiful, and you fall in love with life. You fall in love with yourself, you fall in love with other people, you love living, right? You love bringing yourself to life because you have the ability to create, right? Creating's fabulous. So, but try that certainly in your romantic relationships, and I would suggest trying it across the board, but start off with small situations and just practice and work your way up, so to speak, to the bigger, more important ones. And it'll change your life. That's how powerful embracing your creativity really is. So.